I'm Anitra Terrell, owner of Reflection Design, Afro-modern home decor. And I'm passionate about telling the stories of how we express joy at home using the art and textiles of our roots. So join me as I take a closer look at the lives and homes of men and women across the African diaspora. This is how we live. Hi, I'm Anitra Terrell, and this is How We Live, the show that celebrates the lives and homes of people across the African diaspora. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Tracey Hairston, a Virginia-based content creator and plant stylist. In this episode, you'll learn how to incorporate plants into your decorating style and which plants do best in low-light spaces. Plus, you'll get some decorating tips you can incorporate today. So, let's get into it. Hi, Tracy. Welcome to How We Live. How are you today?
I am wonderful. I am wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing great, and I'm so excited to chat with you. We have been Sister Friends for so long, probably since the very beginning. And you were one of the first homes and individuals that I featured on the How We Live blog series. So to bring you back for the YouTube series it's wonderful. It's amazing. So I'm so grateful that you're here with me today.
Well, I'm just even thrilled that you even asked me to do it. I mean, from the very beginning, when you asked me to do it for the blog, I mean, I was just so elated that you even thought of me to want to include my home in your blog series. And then it's just kind of like a full circle moment for me. So there was no hesitation when you asked me. Of course, of course, of course. I am just so happy and it's just so proud of you. If I can just take that little quick moment and tell you how proud I am of you for branching out, starting this YouTube channel. I mean, it's not an easy task to start a YouTube channel on top of all the other things that you were doing, but to have this channel and to really just kind of spread your wings and show your passions. Just really, I'm just so proud of you. I mean, I'm proud of all the things that you have done from HSN to just really just branching out with your brand. You are just a true, you really just give people the opportunity to say, you know what, she is really doing it up big. I know that I can do it myself. There's things out there for me to do, and to see you, Anitra, just making things happen. It just makes my heart happy and my heart sing. So I'm just showering you with your flowers today because you were just so deserving of it because you were just doing amazing work.
Thank you. And you know what? It's easy to the work is hard, but it's easy to do the work when the passion is us. And that is my passion. Our homes,
Right.
our style, our creating space for us to show who we are, keep those traditions alive, our art, our dance, our music, all the things that make us who we are. So the culture and the people, that is my passion. So the work can get tough at times, but I always go back to my why, and we are the why. You are the why. We are the why.
Right, right.
So speaking of you and your home, let's get into our interview. So we are headed to Chesapeake, Virginia, right?
That's right. Right in
Shout out.
the
Yes, shout out
stumps
to
out here.
Virginia. Virginia holds a special place in my heart. That's where I went to school for undergrad. So right down the road in Norfolk.
Oh, right
Um,
down the road.
yeah, yeah. So of course, I was excited to talk to someone who lives in Virginia.
Right.
And so tell us about you. Tell us about your home and your style.
I consider myself, I mean, I will always be a true bohemian style at heart. I mean, that's going to always be kind of my first love. My home, I believe in bringing the outdoors in. I believe in just making my home a space where it is a reflection of who I am, my culture, my family, the things that we love, and a place where people can come and just really feel comfortable. Yeah, it can look fancy in certain spots, but then also it's just a place where it could be fancy, but you still can put your feet up. So I really take that to heart when I'm creating or designing or curating spaces in my home, that it is a space where people can come and feel comfortable. So it is an eclectic space. It is very earthy. I am a true believer of bringing the outdoors in, and I really, I really just enjoy just having and feeling just life in my home.
And I know a big part of your design aesthetic is plants, and you have a plant behind you, and I added a
Yeah.
plant to my background just so I could get at your level. But what they don't see, what everyone watching does not see, is all the many plants that you have throughout your house. So, when and where did your love of plants start? Where did it all begin?
Well, I was always a plant lover, but I've said this, several times. I was one of those plant lovers from afar. Like I love the idea of plants, but I just had no idea what to do with them, how to care for them. So I would buy them, and then they would quickly die because I had no idea. And then, we're a military family and we moved from place to place. We were so used to moving every 3 years. So, really having live plants in my home, really, it wasn't an option for me. And so, when we finally settled here in Chesapeake, said, you know what, this is my place where now I can settle and have plants in my home. And it also goes back to my mother. My mother had an amazing green thumb, and she, always had these big, beautiful plants. And I probably didn't take too much notice to them when I was a kid, but I always just had plants in my life, even from a small child. So I guess it was just kind of meant to be that the plant life was going to be, embedded in me and in my home, because it's just part of who I am.
Now, how many plants do you have so people can get a visual?
So right now it is going probably back close to 100. Um, I go up and down, different seasons. Sometimes plants don't make it. And so I can go down, or I'll get to a point to where I'm like, okay, I need to kind of hone in and tune in, because my plants are not only a collection of plants, of things that I love, of species and different types of um, variations that I love, but it also has to tie into my design aesthetic. I consider myself as a content creator, an interior design content creator, but I'm also a plant stylist. And so these plants have to kind of flow with how my house is designed, and flows around what I'm creating within a space. So it fluctuates. Sometimes there's more, sometimes there's less.
Now, talk to us a little bit more about that. How do you incorporate plants into the decoration and the design of your home? How do you do that exactly?
Well, for me, when I am like, my home is an open floor plan. We live in a ranch style home, so it's just very open. The rooms are separate, but they're open, and I need for them to tie into each other as much as possible. So when I am designing my space, my living room area, the family room where the family resides most of the time, um, the plants need to really it's like an accessory in a way. So how you design or what you style on your coffee table, it's the same with plants. They have to really kind of be cohesive in color, in size, in texture, that really kind of blend. This plant here, this is a well-finned snake plant, a sansevieria, and it just, to me, in this space, works because of the way the gallery wall is set up. this plant is eventually going to get taller, and I wanted it to be very linear. I didn't want it to be spread out because the gallery wall is spread out. So I really wanted it to have
Mm.
a balance of being straight while the gallery wall is wide.
I love that. And I was going to ask what plant that was
It's a
because it
whale.
is
It's
so,
yeah. It's
it almost looks like a sculpture,
right.
like art.
Right, I know, and that's another thing as well. I do enjoy finding plants that really just add a little something extra to a space. Now I have, if you've seen my social media, I have my sunroom, which I call the Garden of Eden, that has all of the majority of my plants. And that's where I have my collections of plants, the different varieties and variations of plants. So there's really kind of no rhyme or reason. Those plants own that space. And I fill it with home decor pieces, like places where you can sit and reside, but really the plants have the final say. So
Mm,
because they need that particular type of light. So they need to go in a certain place or certain space or need to sit on a certain table because they will get that type of light that they need. And so I will design around the plants in that back area.
mm. Now, you bring up a good point regarding plants and light. And if you live in a home that does not have a lot of light, or maybe there's a lot of overhang from the trees outside,
Mhm.
which impacts the amount of light that comes in. What are some plant suggestions you would have for folks who don't have a lot of natural light in their home?
Well, there's always those. So there's two things I will say, or three things really I will say. So there are plants that can tolerate that. I'm not will never say, oh, they thrive in low light settings or no light settings. They will tolerate them, uh, meaning that they may not grow as big. The leaves may
Mm,
not get as big. They may not get as tall as they may need to be, but they can tolerate them. One is the Sansevieria plant, which is the snake plant here. This is my dining room area, and it doesn't get a crate. There's no windows in this area, so and the lights
mm,
are out most of the time. So a Sansevieria snake plant is a great type of plant. Any type of hallway that doesn't get a lot of light, snake plants work great there. Any type of ZZ plants, um, those work really well in lower light settings. They tolerate those type settings. And pothos plants, any variation of pothos plants, they can also tolerate lower light settings. But then there's also dried flowers. There are dried flowers, dry
mm,
leaves, all those things like that that still give that look of having that outside earthy look but it's just in a dried form. And then, of course, we have the debate on having fake plants in a home. I will never tell anybody that has absolutely no light or has tried to really care for live plants and have not been able to successfully do that. Find the best faux plant you can possibly find and be happy with it. You have green in your house and don't let anybody tell you that you're wrong for having them. I will never tell anybody that at all.
Well, that's a good point. There's always a debate about between faux plants and real plants. So it's nice to hear someone who has your level of expertise regarding plants that it's okay.
It is.
It's okay to have faux plants in your home, especially if you don't have a green thumb, you don't have a lot of light, you maybe your schedule is one that you're not home that much, so you may forget to water them and really care for them as you should. So I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of people struggle with that, or they don't want the judgment of having fake plants in
Right,
their
right. And
house.
I will never understand that. And I'm sure that my plant community, they probably frown at me and that's okay. I'm not gonna, but listen, if you can tell I don't know if I can name drop a person's name, but it's in a good way. I'm not gonna name drop anybody bad. If you tell Hilton Carter that he can't have his faux plant line in Target, Hilton Carter is the plant guy and he has
Right.
faux plants in Target. So what? as long as they're not your grandmother's faux plants. You know, if you remember back when the day and your grandma had those faux
Yes.
plants and they look at, and then they got any form of light and they turned like this bluish color.
Yeah.
Faux plants have
Yeah.
really come a long way, and you can find some really beautiful ones at affordable prices, and some of them actually cost a little bit more than the real plants, and
Hmm.
can really just add some beautiful color and texture to your home. So why not go for it?
Now, one of the other aspects that I love about your home, in addition to the plants, is the different DIY projects that
Mm.
you've completed. And you are such an inspiration from paint to refurbishing furniture and just doing all the things. But I'd love to know what is your favorite DIY project that you've completed, and what's one that was the most challenging?
Well, I'm fortunate enough to have a husband who is an amazing woodworker and to work alongside him. I mean, it's been really, really great. Um, I try to, when I DIY things or refurbish things, meaning I find something that was for one purpose and then I change it and make it into something else. Those are really the most rewarding. So when I take a um, a TV, old TV stand from back in the day, they were usually black and had glass fronts, and I changed that and used it as a like a seating area for people to put their shoes in, and they can sit down and put their shoes on. That to me is one of to is the point where I was really able to kind of use my creativity and think, okay, let me think, what can I make out of this? Or take an old microwave stand and turn it into like a bar cart. Those things like that. Those two particular ones that I just mentioned are probably the most rewarding ones because I saw it from its original state and changed it into something that I'm really very proud of. Um, so those two are the most rewarding and probably the hardest. There hasn't really, to be honest, there hasn't been anything really hard other than when I was part of a challenge for our kitchen and I redid some tile. I have tile backsplash. I've never done that before and I will never do it again. It was extremely hard. Um, breaking up old backsplash tile and then having to put new into grout into all that was very challenging and that was a lot of work and late nights and
Mm.
I don't yeah, and I think next time we'll probably hire somebody to do that because that was really hard. I mean, I'm very proud of it. It looks great, but that's something that I probably would not ever want to do again.
Oh, and I love that you weren't afraid to tackle those projects, because sometimes that's half the battle is for people to believe that they can even, achieve something, like that, or think that it's possible without having to hire someone.
Right.
So,
That's very true. I mean, I always say that, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm just going to do it anyway. I'm going to put up that wallpaper anyways. I don't know if it's going to turn out right or I'm going to paint something. I don't know if it's going to look right. I have changed up paint than more often than not because I did it and then as I've looked at it later and said, "You know what? That's not right." And I've had to change it up. Um, I think that's the beauty of DIY. Your home, even if it's a rental space, knowing what you can and can't do in a rental space, that everything is fixable. Everything is changeable. So if you put up peel and stick wallpaper, you don't like it, you take it down. If you painted something
mhm.
and you don't like it, then paint over it. If you hung a piece of artwork on the wall and you put holes in the wall and it didn't work out, you take it out and you patch up the hole. Everything is fixable, everything is changeable. And I like to see things with new eyes. So everybody is always saying, "Oh, you changed that up." I'm like, "Well, I like to see things new and fresh from time to time." And that's just, I think that's the beauty of home design and DIY and refurbishing things, because you can see things with new eyes all the time and see something fresh and new. And that's very exciting to me.
Well, speaking of your art, you have some beautiful pieces behind you, and you also have a lot of Black art and African decor in your home. Why was it important for you to decorate with African decor?
Well, I mean, the obvious, I'm very proud of who I am, being a strong Black African American woman who comes from a strong Black African American woman, who she came from a strong Black African American woman. And it is important to me that my family, my children, my grandchildren see that. I'm not, when I was younger, we didn't have a whole lot of African art in our home. We had a few pieces here and there because my parents, they took cruises and they traveled, so they came home with different pieces. And so those are pieces that we still cherish, my sisters and I today. My mother went to Senegal when she was alive, and she brought back two masks that she said that she got, and they told her that the masks are of a husband and wife, and you put them by the front door. So anytime when somebody comes
Mm,
into your home, they know that a husband and wife reside there. It's a family resides in that home. She gave those back to me in the early 2000s, and I still, everywhere we've lived, they sit at the front. They're on my wall right by my front door. So it is important that whoever walks into my home, first of all, sees that a husband and wife reside there, and two, that it is an African art piece, that they know what they're getting themselves into when they walk into my home, that they see my culture, my family, my values, and who I am as a person when they walk into my space.
I like that you said they know what they're getting themselves into.
Yes.
In case you didn't know.
Right. Well, it's very, where we live, my home is, I'm sure, very different from what you would see probably in somebody else's home in my area or in Chesapeake in general. It's not, there's a certain type of look that you
Mm,
see, and it's never been my vibe. And one, I have always just been a person of I am a fly by the seat of my pants kind of person, and I walk to my own drum beat, and so
mm,
I don't follow rules. Very little do I follow trends, because when those things start happening, trends start to define who you are, not,
mm.
you being your own individual self. I'm not going to every year, because there's a new trend, now I've got to follow that. That's ridiculous to me. So I just kind of go with my flow, and it all seems to turn out okay.
Oh, it's more than okay. Your home is stunning. It is. I love the colors. It almost has a like a muted kind of boho desert vibe that's so unique, and it's a color palette that we don't see very often
Mhm.
in many homes,
Right.
but especially um, homes of someone of African descent. So it's refreshing, it's unique, and I like that you pointed out that you make your own rules, and I think that's a big part of design and decorating. You have to live there,
Right.
so it should reflect who you are.
Right.
It should reflect who you are. And speaking of that, at Reflection Design, our mantra is see yourself at home.
Mm.
Tracy, how does your home reflect who you are?
I believe that my home reflects the inner child in me, the inner entertainer in me, the person who has always been very creative and vibrant and full of life. that is reflective in how I style my home. That is reflective of who I am as a person and how my home is a just a greater and deeper uh, connection of myself and the world around me. Um, my family has embraced this way of life for me, and so they now, including my, especially my children, they now know that, and it's become very comfortable to them that I couldn't even imagine their own homes not having some form of earthiness, earthy vibes, same form of color palette, that warm color palette, because it's
Hmm.
just been embedded into them from day one. And that's really a reflection of how my mother, our home was just very warm. We had a lot of browns and a lot of wood and a lot of, um, plants and those things like that, a lot of wicker and a lot of all of those things. And so, I'm a product of the 70s, the 60s and 70s. And so it's just a part of me. And I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of that I chose to not change who I am just because of what either society has said somebody should be, or this a community of interior design, or what have you has said that it should be. I'm going to be who I'm going to be, and I think that's good enough.
Well, let's get into our lightning round.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you a couple questions, and I want you to give me the first answer that pops into your mind.
Okay.
What's one decorating or design book that you would recommend?
Oh, I you know I have two. There's two. So my first one, and of course I have them right here, is the newest one that I just recently got, the Afro Chic. This Afro Chic.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
this
Yes.
book is so, not only is it have there's people that are in this book that I know, and their homes are showcased in this home so beautifully, but it really is just like a storytelling of
Mm,
our people and how different our different cultures kind of merge together in a such a unique and special way. And it's so beautifully done, and I just absolutely love this book. This book is really um just a it's just a culmination of the Black family home, and how we as African Americans showcase ourselves in that way, because it's all different but the same. And so
mm,
it's very nice to get different perspectives and different views and different inspiration. And then of course, I am a boho gal in heart, and Justina's the
yes.
Jungalo will always be my tried and true, that I always gain inspiration from, because she has such a way of showing how color and pattern, different types of pattern and texture, how they work together. And she has really kind of brought me out of my shell when it comes to
Mm.
pattern, because I really wasn't a pattern person. I really wasn't a pattern girl, color mixing and different things like that. I kind of stuck to the same palette, but she has really opened my eyes to creating a space that is not only warm and inviting, but just vibrant and fresh and new. And I really just love gaining inspiration from her.
Yeah, those both of those are great books. Janine with Afro Chic and Justina with Jungalo. Both of them, you're like,
Yeah. Right.
changing the game,
Right.
changing the game.
Right.
You want to gift someone a plant. What's your go-to plant when you want to gift someone?
I will always gift a pothos. I will always gift a pothos, because it is a really easy care plant. You can grow a pothos in water. So if you don't want to do the soil thing, stick it in water. Let the roots grow in water. It will do just fine. It can tolerate a lower lighter setting. If you want to put it in the bathroom, it's great. It's a trailing plant, and there are just so many different varieties of a pothos that a pothos is definitely my go-to plant for gifting.
If your home had a theme song, what would it be?
Mm. Beautiful. I just want you to know.
You're my favorite girl. Hey, not Snoop and Pharrell.
I don't know. I really, I think there are times when, you can be modest and humble, which I am as as much as I can. I'm so grateful and thankful for everything that has been afforded to me over my lifetime. But there are some things that you can brag on, and your home should be one of them. It's your home.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
my home is beautiful. It's beautiful and I love it. So
Yes. That's put that on a t-shirt. My home is beautiful and I love
there,
it.
there you go. There you go. I like that. I like
Yes.
that.
There's no shame in that. Uh, Tracy, where can we find you online?
You can find me across the board at Mocha Girl Place, my website, Instagram, TikTok. You can find me everywhere, Mocha Girl Place.
Well, thank you for joining us. I've had such fun chatting with you and learning more about you and your beautiful home. I'm sure
Thank
everyone
you.
watching has gotten so many tips, especially when it comes to plants and color and just creating a home that's yours and being in love with that space. So thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you so much for having me. I had a ball. Thank you again.
And thanks everyone for watching. This is How We Live. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And to add more style and culture to your home, shop reflektiondesign.com.